Hey, welcome to Let the Light In. Today we've got the Sirui 75mm T1.2 Nightwalker lens. This is the second one we're looking at. We've already done the 16mm, and these are actually the only two of the full entire set that I have. But there's the 75mm, the 16mm is on camera. I didn't want to put the 75 on camera because I don't really want you just staring straight at my nose. So there's the 75, 16mm is on camera. I've already done a review on that. Link is up above for you to check that out. So the 75mm is currently on sale at B&H for $360. That is American dollars, so keep that in mind. That's your price point for today. So the Sirui 75 and the entire series, the Nightwalker series, covers the Super 35 format, covers APS-C. So that's the coverage that you're looking at. It's got an aperture range of T1.2 all the way to 16. As far as the focus ring goes, it's got 270 degrees of rotation, quite a bit. We'll get into that a little more later. Its minimum focus distance is 0.7 meters. At the front here, it comes with a 67mm filter thread, and that is consistent throughout the entire series. And finally, this lens and this series of lenses comes in a wide variety of lens mounts. So it comes for the Sony E, which is what we're reviewing it on today, the X, RF, MTF, and the L mounts. Now, something for you to know is that all of the lenses in this series, which are the 16, the 24, the 35, the 55, and the 75, which we have today, all of them are uniform in size. They share almost the exact same dimensions. The 16 and the 75 are just a touch larger. All of the other lenses are basically topping out right here. Just there's like one extra little ring barrel here for the 75 and the 16, but they're almost exactly uniform in their dimensions. Now, where they are exactly uniform is the aperture ring and the focus ring. All of these are located in the exact same place across the entire series. So if you are using the gimbal, if you're using follow focus gearing, then that is going to be a consistent, easy replacement for you to switch out no matter what focal length in the series you are using. Additionally, these lenses are also color matched, which means that you go outside and you shoot something with the 35. Well, whenever you pull out the 75 or the 16, the colors are going to be consistent across the entire series of lenses. So whenever you bring that into post and you're looking at your project, you don't have to try and color match it already. These lenses are color matched for you. Now let's get into the aperture ring here and the focus ring. It's got a nice and smooth rotation. It's something that I've come to call kind of like an oily smooth rotation. Sometimes there's like that almost plastic rotation. This, however, is nice oily smooth rotation. Now it's not heavily damped, it's lightly damped, and that is, it has the same feel from the aperture ring to also the focus ring. Now, the travel distance on the focus ring is absolutely huge, 270 degrees. You may like that, you may not. Those who are using cinematic lenses are probably more in the camp that they're gonna like that because it's going to give you a greater amount of control when it comes to the accuracy of hitting your mark, right? You've got more leniency, more leeway whenever you are rotating. You've got more distance in there. So that is something that you may like if you are in the market for a cinematic lens. Now, something to note here that does seem to be consistent across the board is that for the distance markings, it goes from minimum focus distance of 0.7 all the way to infinity. About 30 degrees of that rotation out of 270, about 30 degrees is for 5 meters to infinity. 5 meters to infinity, which leaves 240 degrees of that rotation for 0.7 to about 5 meters. So it's really, Sirui has made this lens to have a lot of room for close focus distances. Now, let's get into the visuals of it. Looking at chromatic aberrations, you see we have completely blown out our background here. And it looks good. There's nothing really to note here. There's no green, magenta, blue hues popping through. It's a clean performance. And then pulling that same shot again, as we look at the focus throw, we're watching here for focus breathing, and we can see that on the 75mm, focus breathing is pretty heavy. So if you're interested in this lens, then definitely something that you have to consider is, well, how big am I usually doing a focus throw, right? Is it a couple meters, or is it quite an extent? What aperture you're going to be shooting in, because that's going to affect the feel and the feel of the pulling or the closing in of your focus throw. So do you think that's going to be too jarring for your audience? That is something we'll show more examples as we go along as well, looking at some other things and some tests done. But focus breathing, is definitely present on the 75mm.
Focus on the flowers, T16, 5.6, 2.8, 1.2. So there's 1.2, 2, 4, 8, 16. Now, if I bring that focus out to the house, so we're 16, 8, 4, 2, 1.2, and that's looking really muddy. 2 still looks muddy. 4, it's actually got some better texture in it. 8, and there's our 16.
Now, this lens does not have, if we open up the back, it does not come with any weather sealing, right? That's just straight metal there. So keep that in mind if you are in a rainy area, if you're on the coast like Oregon or something like that. It doesn't have any weather sealing, all right? So take some precautions when it comes to that. Looking at the visual performance, it's really nice that across the series, this lens is color matched across the board. A wide open aperture of T1.2 means it is very useful in a wide variety of lighting situations. In fact, I actually even use these to shoot the Northern Lights. Quite a low shutter speed on that, but it was possible. So truly a Nightwalker lens is what they've named the series, and that is accurate. Now, because this is a telephoto lens, and it's a cinematic lens, there's nothing electronic about it. It's completely manual. It's completely metal. Everything you adjust. So because of that, obviously, if your camera body doesn't have in-body image stabilization, IBIS, right, shake control, then absolutely you need to set this down on the tripod. But even more so than that, because of the massive amount of rotation to pull focus, with this being a 75mm lens, even on a tripod, you can see here in this example that I'm trying to do a smooth rotation of the lens. I'm trying to do as light of a touch as I can, but I just end up shaking the footage. So take that into consideration. Do you have a well-built, kind of heavy set tripod that's really gonna sit down if you are manually focus pulling? That's something to take into consideration. You can rescue it putting stabilization on it in post, but that's absolutely not something you want to rely on. So take that into consideration. Does your camera come with IBIS? Do you have a nice heavy tripod that you can set down to really stabilize this thing? Does it come with a little hook? Does your tripod have a little hook on it, where you can even weight it down a little bit more and really steady your shot? Because 75mm, and you're really pulling focus, it's tough not to shake it. So if you have follow focus gears, then that's gonna really come in handy for this lens as well. I think overall, taking into consideration this 75mm lens, I think overall, it's a decent lens. It's a decent lens. I think the biggest drawback here, the biggest thing to take into consideration is the focus breathing too much for you? We see that chromatic aberrations are controlled. It produces nice visuals. It's got nice circular bokeh, or bokeh, however you want to pronounce that. But is the focus breathing too much? And that, with it being a cinematic lens, if that's what you're using for cinematic productions, then that's, something you've got to take into consideration. That's your artistic choice. You'll also likely want to check out the other lenses in this set, right? Because if you're going to buy the 75mm, you're probably going to want to invest in the set of cinematic lenses. You're going to want them to match up and be the same. So 16mm review is attached. You can find the link somewhere. I'll have it maybe down in the description as well, but it's been linked throughout this video. So go check that video out as well. And I can tell you beforehand that the 16mm it's a good lens. What's more going to catch you up is the 75mm here and the focus breathing that is found in it. So purchasing links are going to be down in the description. If you are interested, then the links are down there. But also, you will probably want to check out, and I would advise looking at other cinematic lenses that I've reviewed. I've reviewed some from Samyang. I believe I've got cinematic lenses from Viltrox is up on the channel as well. So take a look, compare, contrast, figure out what works best for you, your project, and your vision. All right, that is it. Links down below if you want to buy. Other than that, take care, have a wonderful day, and remember to let the light in.